Mayor Wax. Thank you. Councilman Day. And our now District Chairman Malcolm. Good. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Good. We appreciate your support. I'd also like to recognize the Friends of the History Center Board and docents. So if you work with us as a volunteer, please wave also. Okay? This is what supports the whole event and the History Center that you see. I'd also like to thank Aransas Pathways as the supporting organization, the Margaret Sue Rust Foundation for their financial support of this exhibit, and the many people who contributed to this exhibit. We hope that we have everybody listed on the program and also in a plaque, which you'll see in the galleries. Now, our curators for this exhibit have been Vicki Merchant and Tom Betz. At this time, I'd like to introduce them.
We're so pleased that you're here. We really appreciate it. And this is what we do. This is our history of Aransas County. And that's what we like to dig into. And I'm going to introduce Tom Betz.
I'm nervous about this. I am volunteer for the Rockford Center for the Hi, I'm Kay, and I am a volunteer for the Rockford Center for the Arts. And about 6 months ago, Pam and Vicki came over and met with John Speck and us and asked if we'd like to collaborate with them on documenting the history of the art community. And we, being fools, said yes. So my husband, Tom Betz, and I have been doing oral interviews with some of the most fascinating people I've ever met in my life. And that's not just the artists, that's the volunteers, the patrons. It's just a crazy full of wonderful people. I have some people I want to acknowledge, but I'll make it short because I know you came to hear Steve and not me. Chris Ely is over there with her niece, Ginger. She had a gallery for many years in Fulton, Texas. And I think that the Coastal been known all around the world with her postcards that depicted historic scenes. And I'm very honored that you could join us. I also acknowledge Janine Sayeda, who Lisa Frederick asked us to interview. She was here from the early days with the Stell Star and a part of a lot of galleries. My favorite being the Stardust Gallery, named after a famous physician. Janine, thank you. I also want to thank Evelyn Atkinson. She did a labor of love to go back through all the storerooms and boxes of the Art Center and catalog all of the brochures, all of the photographs. And Vicki and I wouldn't have been able to do what we did without Evelyn. So let's I want to thank Susan Wax for supporting this history project behind the scenes. Give me good advice about the politics of a small town. I also would like to thank kindly our husbands, Tom Betz and Gary Mercer. There's Gary over there. I don't think they've had a home-cooked meal. Now, how do y'all know Steve Russell? And I think I know him too well to actually introduce him. But I will tell you that over 6 months about listening to the stories of this art community and trying to figure out why it's lasted for about 70 years, he has come to embody that for me. He lived on St. Joe Island for a while, and sometimes I can just feel that wind and space in his paintings. He was the first interview that Tom and I did, and we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And he and Cheryl both were so gracious and made us feel so welcome. And you know Steve, he checked us out to see whether we were going to get 25-cent, 50-cent, or the dollar stories. And after 10 minutes, we got the quarter stories. But since then, we've got more of the dollar stories. And I always kid people, we're going to do a book at some point to benefit the Art Center. And I always say you can have that book for $60. But if you want the real stories, it's going to be $160. So his painting is great, but his connection to the beauty of this art colony is even more. He's inclusive. He gets the work you hear a lot of times gets surprises. He is just a wonderful, wonderful person I want to thank before Anthony speak. Is Mitch West, who had the vision early on about the cultural district, and I think that's part of the answer for continuing this art colony in Lawrenceville. So my partner in crime has told me. Well, I'd also like to thank Lisa and John Paul since they're here. I had them on the list, but I didn't see them, so I didn't. This is a wonderful group, and if you're not a member, please join up. They're fun. They make history come alive. I told them when I first joined I wouldn't wear any of those bonnets, but Vicky said I had to wear a beret tonight. But we need money to buy track lights for all the arts. So join up.
Can you hear me? It's been said that if you're a nervous speaker, that you picture the audience being negative. But I see who's sitting here in the front row, and I just can't do that. It's just too scary. This is going to be one of the more informal speeches you probably ever heard. I can't remember how many minutes they said I could have. Too many. I'm honored to be asked to speak here this evening. And I want to thank everybody that made it possible. A lot of really hard work. I got this house moved in here and all the planting, offerings, painting, leveling, tearing on. Done a really great job. The subject here more or less is the evolution of the art colony of this community. It's become somewhat known for it. And it's hard to put a magic moment when the spark happens and the universe started expanding. As a youngster, Hugh Martin pointed this out one time recently. When we were growing up here, you could go to almost anyone's home here, and this is a very small community at the time, and there would be paintings on the walls done by usually older aunts, grandmothers, this little paintings that they had done, harbors, the waterfront, kind of like a grandma Moses type thing, so everybody was proud of it. And you always hear that thing. Someone would say, well, my aunt was paints, but she never had a lesson in her life. Well, you can't tell by looking. A lot of people think I never had a lesson either. I can, just my earliest memory, I was born in 1946. Mr. Michael came here around 1948. And he brought a certain something with him, being a male painting picture. Like I said, mostly it's females and persons, more gentler approach to it. But when he came to town, he kind of played up what an artist is supposed to look like with ascot and handlebar mustache, a lot of philosophy. And so when I was growing up, he taught adult and children's classes. I never did take lessons from him. That's what I was reading. And I always wanted to. And then there were children that were taking lessons and they didn't want to. Yeah, there's one of them I'd say, Jim Ridley. He never learned anything from anybody. So I don't know how my life would have turned out if I'd have taken lessons from Mr. Michael. For years and years, he wouldn't show his work. You could tell what his paintings looked like by what his students did. They all had a certain commonality. And then I was really curious to see what are his paintings. And it was years later that I'd gone away and came back here, and he started showing. Had this gallery where he was showing his own work. By then I didn't care anything. But he was an innocent young man and brought a lot to the community, kind of opened the door. And one little smirky kind of story which I like, there was a man here, I won't mention his name, he's long gone, but he had an alcohol problem. And in order to thwart drinking, he felt as though taking art classes might help keep him out of the bar. And he did pretty good. He wasn't very good as a painter. But anyway, all the students were mainly females, and Mr. Michael would take these field trips down to Mexico. And this fellow did pretty good until they got down the border, and he thought, well, one margarita won't hurt anything. And then about 3 hours later, he jumped out of the balcony on top of Mr. Michael's car and caved the roof. Yeah, I was really enjoying his art class. There's those little spicy things that happen all the time. And I wanted to grow up and be like that man that jumped on Michael's car. I pretty well achieved it. I know how to jump in the car without breaking a leg. Yeah, thank you. So, anyway, there was a lady here that I had the good fortune to come under her influence. And she taught me art classes on Saturday mornings out at home. And her name was Kip Dinger. And she was a very gentle, wonderful lady. And I was trying to paint square rigged ships and Indians attacking wagon trains and all the things that a young kid idiots would try to paint. I didn't know I couldn't. And so she took me under her wing on Saturday mornings and made me put all my paint back out where I couldn't get to them. And she started with charcoal. She said, we're going to start with some basics. And we draw apples. And I just painted pumpkins, candlesticks. So I did my time in the barrel with charcoal, and then we moved into pastel, and then finally I got my beloved oils out. I went back painting nudes and lanterns and shit. But I painted pretty much like she did. Well, was female, so I was painting these soft, unmanly things. And so later, they were getting to the point where the main thing was this lady she took a lot of people under the wing. And she lived alone here at Tucson. And we would sit around her coffee table and kind of dream dreams about what might be someday, or wishing that it feel like maybe we could maybe give as much as $100. And she was somewhat worldly, and I always encouraged quite a few of us that studied with her and just knew her personally, painted with her. And sometimes you hear, or it's been written, that someone was a founder of the Rockport Art Association, the Rockport Art Guild. And I'm here to tell you it's a bunch of bull. There's a whole group of people here that no one person founded anything. They all contributed. And I'm privileged to have stood on the shoulders of every one of them. Those guys that seized the opportunity. And so it's been an interesting interesting trail, the way things have worked out. We would never dream that it would become what it has become. It was all, like I said, every time we did something, it was a little bit of an experiment. We never knew if we'd replicate it. I think the first festival we had was out at where the Racket Club is now. I believe that was the first one. And we made every mistake you could make and learned by them. One of the things we wanted to serve beer because you could make a certain profit from that. They wouldn't let us do things here in town because of the liability, and that over years changed. Where you make a few coins from beer tent.
Sell more paintings.
Yeah. Got to loosen folks up. Yeah. But year by year, we learned and grew, and then there was folks like Dennis Jenkins and Fred Will. Yeah, yeah, yeah! Hey, Mom!
Told you to wait to go.
I've asked her not to do that. She cleaned it up today. I have a list here. Cheryl gives me a little inspection before I'm allowed to make sure my teeth are in, pants are zipped up, shirt's on right side out. Does anybody have any Fix-A-Dent? There were so many people that pitched in. It wasn't just the artists, but they kind of made it possible for us to have our day in the sun. And the word got around all over Texas where artists could come down and show their work. And as the years came and went, there were certain stars that rose and fell and carried on. Some of them carted off to prison. In fact, a lot of them. But
I'm glad you're back.
I learned a lot. Anyway, the effort to put that show on in the summertime was just a gargantuan thing, so hot. And setting up those little booths, and we, it was always just fraught with trouble. And then after it was all over, it's taken down and put it back in storage. So one year I said there's free beer. I got in a lot of trouble with the board of directors. I drank most of it. But I was the only one working. Poor me. But moving along about the evolution of the thing here, it has been quite a ride. There were some real characters and a lot of businessmen that pitched in. The artists aren't very good at business or writing checks. They're just not good at anything. Painting maybe. So these guys would kind of protect us. Mr. Kruger's one of them. Kind of make it possible for us to keep playing painters. And they'd get the checkbook out, or they'd pick up the phone, call somebody to kind of take care of problems for us, get things moving along. And Rockport began to grow, and then we had a lot of people coming here that were retirement camps, a little more affluent than most of the shrimpers and harbor trash that live here. And I was sketching over in Aransas Pass one time, and there was a lot of shrimp. And a shrimper noticed what I was doing. He said, "Are you going to put us in the funny paper?" And to a shrimper, that was an absolute one-man show at the Louvre. So we were batting against that. But there were so many local characters here that you just go on and name them. But this little town, that people would come in sailboats or workboats, shrimp boats, and there was never a dull moment. Always interesting people. Everybody likes interesting people. And we've been fortunate enough to get our fair share of them here. And the arts was always kind of central to a lot of that. Be it painting or pottery, pottery. But, like my dad would come home and he'd bring people in. We were on a sailboat down there, hadn't had a shower in a couple of weeks. We had a bathroom, a good home cooked meal. And my mother would be a little hot because he'd just show up unannounced. And we traveled up and down the coast working, so we'd see people in Louisiana and then Galveston, and they'd maybe coming this way or they're going the other way. So you just happen into the travelers, but the seacoast mentality that set in, people are on the move, coming and going with the tide. And then the artists that began to show up here that were teaching from out of town, the people with real credentials, real artists, that brought a lot of spice to our mixture here. And I've got them listed here, a lot of them, but I'd forget half of them. You wouldn't know them. My personal teacher was a fellow named Briegel. After Miss Dinger kind of got through with me, with this fellow, an old German fellow, and he was an egomaniac, excellent painter. And you could look at any of his paintings and tell that this man is really good, but he wanted to tell you how good he was. But I used to ride my bicycle out to where some of his paintings were hanging at the Sandal, Mr. Sanders was his name, and he had bought some. So it was a big influence on my life, that man and others like him that came in through here. Jan Wendell was one of those, someone coined the word angel, someone that bent over backwards to help the group. And she was one that she knew people like Meredith Long. She'd pick up the phone. I guess she knew enough dirt on him that he'd send somebody down here to kind of placate us. We'd get a New York artist in here, breath of fresh air. So it was folks like them, and then Bob Mosier, who, like I said, we weren't very good at business and keeping a checking account. He knew how to do it, so he threw in with us and kept us honest and out of prison for that reason. And dang. Right now, this exhibit here kind of covers the area from about 1948 to the early 80s, in the middle 80s. And of course, we all know pretty much what's happened since then. But it's ever evolving, and it's everybody here has had a hand in it, one way or another, helping this common entity to survive. And there's been so many that are gone now. I wish to be sitting here this evening and see kind of where we are now, where we're likely to go. That I'm going to stop at this point here. I see some people nodding now. Does anyone have any? Okay. Estelle was a big shaker. Can you tell her? I said I quit naming names, but Cheryl just gently. Miss Starr came into town, and she worked for Simon Michael. I'll tell you this cute little anecdote. She was working for Simon Michael when my teacher, Bill Briegel, came down, and being the egomaniac he went over to see Mr. Michael, and Mr. Michael didn't receive him. Snubbed him. And so later in the class, Mr. Briegel saw Estelle sitting there, and he kept thinking, I know this woman. Or something like that. And it dawned on him, you work for that communist Simon Michael. He sent you over here as a spy. No, but it was just like an old maid. It was absolutely hilarious. But when that realization hit him, he was painting on something, but that lip stuck out suddenly. But anyway, Estelle took up the mantle down there, and talking about a coffee table surrounded by people that everyone had ideas, most times fighting over. And it all shook out. It'd go this way one day and another day in another direction. And always, I could say, upwardly mobile, style of it. And I guess the next chapter now is finding the next home for the center itself, which something will happen. But again, I want to thank all of you for coming this evening and being part of this thing. And are there, anybody have any particular questions on the close here? I can find somebody that'll answer. Okay. Well, that does it then. Thanks all.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it very much. And we sure get some more refreshments and come on into the house. And we'd love for y'all to look at the exhibit if you haven't seen it already. Thank you.